By now, we've probably all tested most of Varlamore's moneymakers, or have we? Because within any update, there's always new ways to make money that most of us don't even think about. So today, I'm going to be testing all of this region's secret moneymakers to see what we can find. Sunlight antelopes are good money on their own, but the items you get from them also produce a ton of other items. One of these can be made with the antlers, a chisel and 72 fletching. I've got my timer ready as always, and hopefully these have a make X option. They do, brilliant. I'm getting just 10 XP for each one of these, so not something you're going to want to use to train fletching on, but I'm hoping it's going to be decent money. These are the last ones of them done, just coming up to 17 minutes to make 500 antlers into the bolt, and whilst it's not the best XP, just 17,500 per hour, it's at least something I guess. Now those antlers cost me 306,000 GP in total, so gonna throw the bolt in the G and see how much that we make. The bolts are finally sold, but the price of the bolt is just 80 GP now, meaning I made just 174,000 GP profit in 17 minutes, so that is just 614,000 GP per hour. And that is absolutely terrible for a new pay-to-play moneymaker with such terrible XP, and hopefully they get better from here on in. I think this is probably the most unusual one that I'm going to do this week. It's pretty random in every single way. So a few of the hunter items can be combined to make just one new item. It's untradeable, but you can still make money on it. To make 100 of these, I'm going to need 400 fox fur, about 50 thread roughly, I'm guessing, as well as 300 sunlight antelope fur and 100 nature runes. I've also got a staff of fire. You can use any staff that gives 3 fire runes, and 65 crafting to do the method. Right, everything's bought that I need for this one, and it has quite a few steps, so let me get the timer started as always. The first thing I need to do is to use the fox fur, the needle and the thread to make a small meat pouch. Now these can be used to store meat when you're hunting, but that's not what we're going to be doing with them. I've just realised it's probably best to do the next step after you make 6 small meat pouches, which is then to use the sunlight antelope fur on the small pouches in your inventory, and this will then turn them into 6 large meat pouches. Almost made all 100 of these, and I'm getting 60,000 crafting XP per hour doing this, which isn't bad at all. It's not one of the best methods by any stretch, but at least it's something. Although that is going to come down a little bit, because as I mentioned before, these aren't tradable, but they do have a decent high alch value. The small pouches only high alch for 1,800 GP each, the large ones alch for 4,500, and the antelope fur is much cheaper than the fox fur, so you definitely don't want to be doing this with just the small pouches. You want to upgrade them to the large ones and then alch them for a profit. These are the last of the pouches that I need to alch, and it has brought the hourly crafting rate down to about 38,000 XP, but on the flip side I am getting now about 77,000 magic XP from the high alching. So everything made and everything alched in under 15 minutes, which has got me 450,000 GP, but that's before the costs. The thread was under 1,000 GP, the fox fur was the most expensive item at a cost of 217,000 GP, the antelope fur was 39,000, and the nature runes another 11,000 GP, so a total of 268k, meaning we made 182,000 GP profit in 14 minutes 20 seconds, which works out to be 762,000 GP per hour. Still not great, but at least a bit better XP on that one, but I would be disappointed if there isn't one a lot more profitable than these. Next one I want to do is another weapon, again with a lot more things needed to make it than we usually have. For this I'm going to need some teak logs, then 5 times as many jerboa tails as I have logs, and the same for the hunter spear tips. The tips and the tails are stackable, so I'm just going to need to withdraw the teak logs every so often so I can make a bunch of these. Just 10 XP again. Really don't want us to train production skills in this new area by the look of things. That is absolutely terrible. So I made a little bit of a mistake. I really thought this would take much longer, and I've made these so quick. These are the last ones already. 250 made in about 2 minutes time. Again, just 16,000 fletching XP per hour. Those spears from earlier all sold for 247,000 GP, and the tails cost me 202,000 GP. The tips were just 3,000 and the logs 10k, which is only 32,000 GP profit, but remember, it only took us a couple of minutes to do them. So this one, whilst again not great for XP, is at least almost 1 mil per hour, so at least we're starting to get into the realms of a respectable moneymaker. If there's going to be a massive one this week, I think this is probably it looking at it already. The problem I guess is how long it's going to take to buy broken pieces of the new armor, given that the content has only been out for a few weeks. The new Perilous Moon's armor is just like Barrow's but far more expensive to repair. Bobbin Lumbridge is now the richest man in old school RuneScape, having taken over from that candle seller in the Lumbridge swamp. I mentioned last week the Colosseum removing 60 billion GP per day since it was released just through gravestones. Well, this is another huge money sink in the game now. Just like Barrow's armor though, you can repair it in a player-owned house on an armor stand for a reduced amount. It's a 1% reduction in cost for every 2 smithing levels that you have, essentially meaning at 99 smithing it's half price. Now I am 91 smithing, so I'm not getting the full discount, but most of it, and I think even at this level it's still going to be profitable. I've been testing this with a few different items now, and this is the best one I've done so far. I bought 29 Eclipse Moon Tassis for 22.6 mil, then spent 18 million on the first repair. I also timed this just so you can see how quick it is, literally 22 seconds per inventory. I then spent another 4.9 million on repairs, so a total of 45.5 mil invested, and then I sold them all once repaired for 48.86 million after tax, a huge profit considering the time it took me. 3.36 million profit for putting an offer in the G, then just spending a few minutes to repair them, but you have to be really careful for a couple of reasons. The items are new, so the chance of them dropping in price is pretty high. Of course you can get lucky and it can go the other way, but with new items it's far more likely that they crash and burn, and if it does happen you could lose a lot of money. That being said, there seems to be about 1 million between most broken items compared to the repair version, and at 99 smithing you only pay around 750,000 for a repair. So there is a ton of money to be made if you're very careful. The next one I want to test out is to hunt Teku salamanders, and I like what they've done here. In order to keep the value of the salamanders high, which are also a weapon when you catch them, most of the catches are going to be immature ones like these in my inventory that don't actually have a use and you can't use them as a weapon. I've set my rune light up so I can left click release these just to make it quicker, although I do think they should have just made it auto release, they don't have a use in the game anyway. So I'm going to do an area to see how much XP it is and how many salamanders that you actually catch, because the wiki doesn't even tell us at the moment, so it'll be a nice thing to know how much GP you can make doing this, and they're 500,000 each, so quite a lot of money. Just coming up to the hour mark and I haven't caught a single one. So I guess they are extremely rare and that's why they are the price they are. And here's me hoping I was going to catch like 10 in an hour. Of course I could have just been extremely unlucky, but probably not to the point where this is amazing money. I've gone through the numbers, I was getting 116,000 XP per hour and I caught 333 of these, which I thought might be useful when they update the wiki so you can see how much it will be per hour. However, let's say it's 1 per hour. With those XP rates and the GP per hour, it's only similar really to Red Chins, but with a much higher requirement of 79 Hunter and nowhere near as good as Black Chins if you don't mind going into the wilderness. In Varlamore, we can catch Moonlight Moths at 75 Hunter, which are like a cheap prayer potion. When released, they restore 22 prayer points, and it's also a way for Iron Man to restore prayer without having to farm a ton of herbs and secondary ingredients and things like that. But not only can we do that, you can also turn them into a potion mix. So apparently, if you have a moth in a butterfly jar, you take some meat and you grind down something, hopefully not the moth. This will turn it into a potion mix that has 2 doses and restores 22 prayer each dose to you and up to 3 people nearby, as long as they have accept aid on. You can do this with all the new hunter meat, so I've picked out the antelope because it's just the cheapest. Oh, it gets worse. No XP at all for this. Well, I mean, let's hope it's good money then. Nearly done all 500 of these, and to be fair, this method is quite chill and quite easy to do. All of those moths have sold, and it's 1,039,000 GP, and the meat cost me 211k, and the moths another 551k, so 762 in total, meaning I made 277,000 GP profit in 17 minutes and 20 seconds, which works out to be 960,000 per hour, but not even 1 XP. So in summary, to actually make money from Varlamore, buy broken armor off the GE, repair it in your player-owned house, and don't actually go anywhere near Varlamore.